Okay, this is going to be a very serious video. It's my first serious video in a long time, but it's regarding an issue and a crisis that's been ongoing in the lower mainland of British Columbia and my residents of Victoria, BC, Vancouver Island, and of course the city of Vancouver and parts of my country, especially in the Greater Toronto area, and obviously parts of America as well. I'm well aware that this is going on there, and that is regarding what is known as renovictions or renovicting. What happens is that's what happens is when property owners find ways to evict tenants or drive out tenants any way they can through gross mistreatment and such, so that they can, force a tenant to leave. That way, once a tenant is completely vacated, they'll either do minimal or no repairs. Sometimes they'll do major repairs, or they'll do minimal repairs in order to jack up and increase the rent to much higher numbers. For instance, a suite that was once going for $800 will now go up to probably around $1,100 to $1,200 or more, depending on the circumstances, depending on how long the previous tenant was there for. So that's one way a lot of these that's how these property managers operate. And the problem is a majority of them are very wealthy, and they come from very wealthy areas. That's who's buying these properties, and most of them are not even from Canada, which is very scary when you really think about it. So that's what's going on here. And I myself have been pushed out of previous places. I myself have been, well, I haven't said I've been renovicted, but I have been pushed out, and I'm kind of going through a similar situation right now as we speak. Don't worry, I don't have to move soon, but I'm going to have to, because it's not just property managers, homeowners, people who rent out suites are also catching on to this trend, and are also doing the same thing, doing everything they can to remove tenants so that they can increase the rent even more in their favor. So, and what that's done is it's destabilized the housing market in general. There's no stability down here, especially in the lower mainland of British Columbia. Now, I can't speak for anywhere else in the country, but if you are living in an area, or if you know what's going on, if you see this happening in an area, please comment down below. Let me know for future reference. But one way that they do it, quick, efficient way to renovate. Now, granted, even though, a lot of dangerous drugs were stupidly legalized in my area of British Columbia, you have to consider the fact that the property managers have rules and regulations in place. So, now granted, I'm going to give an example. On my property about close to 10 years ago, now I can't say when, I'll have to look into it, but there was a major sting operation that took place on my property. Now, the property I was living at was borderline medium class, residency. So what happened was there were two tenants in one of the major suites that were, dealing hard drugs and storing hard drugs in one of their vehicles. And what happened was that the property manager, the landlord, the one in charge of the property, and the property managers had worked alongside the police to conduct a sting operation. And of course, the two tenants were caught, and they were evicted, and the property was confiscated. And what happened after that was very alarming, though. That was the scary part, is that we were subject to all these very strange visits, or bogus visits. Oh, we're checking on the smoke alarm. Oh, we're checking the floor. Oh, we're checking, And the reason why you have all these visits, now granted, they do give 24-hour notice. It's legal to do so. You have to get 24-hour notice to enter a suite. And the sad part is a lot of people don't know their rights. That's the scary part about this situation, because, the Canadian education system is so flawed in that regard. So, after we were getting all these visits, there were a lot of people, more and more tenants were getting kicked out, more and more tenants were being removed because of, potential, because what they're really doing is, yes, they'll do the repair, they'll check whatever they need to check, but what they're really doing is trying to get a better, closer look at the suite to catch anyone with drugs or any signs of illegal activity, so they can speed up the process and remove more tenants so they can jack up the rent after they leave. So that's one of the ways they do it. So now, even though, because of BC's kangaroo court system and corrupt court system, it's very hard to challenge a lot of these cases. So you have to put that in consideration as well. And it's something that's been ongoing in my area and parts of Canada. And I want to know, have you gone through anything like this? What are your experiences? I know other people who are going through it as well. like I said, and to an extent, I've gone through it. I was pushed out of my tendency. I wasn't evicted, but I was being pushed out. I was treated horribly by a company that I was living with. So, and I just think that it's only going to get worse because we don't have a stable. What's really scary now, the reason why I left British Columbia back in 2023 was because there was just no stability. That's why I left. And thankful for that, but unfortunately, as you know, I did have to come back for a very serious family matter and for a very personal matter for a lot of people who know me on here. But the situation is now past. I have no real reason to stay here, and yes, I will be leaving. I will attempt to leave either this fall or sometime next year, so, because I do need to think about the rest of my life here. I cannot go on like this anymore, so my advice to anyone coming down, if you plan on moving to British Columbia, it's something you got to be aware of. This is very common. It's happening more often. It's still happening right now, and not a lot's being done about it, and it's not something that's often talked about. So I know it's happening in other areas, but I just find that it's very common in my area. But till then, that's all I got. And I want to know what's going on in your area. Please comment down below. If I'm missing anything, or if you know what's happening, or if anyone has any more insight, comment down below as well. It's just something I wanted to share with you all. Something I wanted to get off my chest. Till then, that's all I got. Take care, everyone. Stay safe out there.